This is the Marriage, Kids, and Money podcast with Andy Hill, session number 13. If you want to have your best marriage, an excellent relationship with your kids, and you want to win with money, you're in the right place. Thanks for listening today. How would you like to retire at age 35? Sounds impossible, right? Well, our guest today, Steve Adcock, figured out how to do it. Steve and his wife, Courtney, have had a dream of early retirement for quite some time now. Together, they have been tirelessly planning, diligently saving, and constantly dreaming of leaving their 9-to-5 careers behind and exploring the country. In late December 2016, just a little over a month ago, Steve handed over his ID badge and a resignation letter and stepped into his first month as an early retiree. Steve now has the freedom to pursue projects he's passionate about, and he'll never fill out a timesheet or have a performance review ever again. On the show today, Steve and I chat about his journey towards early retirement, what his life is like now as an early retiree, and how he came to reach early retirement so early in his life. There will be some helpful resources mentioned during the show that you can access in the show notes at marriagekidsandmoney.com/session13. So let's get into this exciting conversation about early retirement with Steve Adcock. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Marriage, Kids, and Money podcast. I have an excellent guest today, Steve Adcock. How's it going, Steve?
Doing awesome. How are you, Andy?
I am great. It is early in the morning, and I love kicking off my day with a great conversation with intelligent people like yourself. So that's the point and the reason we're here today to chat with you. Can you give us a little bit of background on who you are, Steve?
Sure. I'm a recently retired IT person. I am 35 years old, retired just a couple weeks ago from full-time work. So I get to I just get to enjoy my day focusing on the things that actually make me happy. I did retire, or I did get a degree in information technology back in the early 2000s, and worked for the next 12 years or so in this IT world, doing programming and database work. And, I really do love doing that, but I just didn't like doing it for somebody else, for a big, multinational corporation. That just wasn't for me. So we decided to save as much money as we can, retire early, and really focus on the things that make me happy. And I'm glad to say that I have finally, after many, many years of making this, really turning this into a reality, I have finally made it.
That's incredible, Steve. So you say many, many years, but I understand that you are in your mid-30s. Is that right?
Yes, 35 years old, soon to be 36 this year.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on such a gigantic feat in the middle of your 30s to become retired. And when we talk about retirement, I know you're very specific about this on your site, is that this is retirement from working for somebody, having a job, a 9-to-5, not, yes. Hey, I'm going to sit on my golf cart and slowly fade away. Is that right? Exactly. I won't be sitting in a rocking chair with a shotgun in my hand telling kids to get off my lawn.
That's not my That's not my version, like Clint Eastwood style. That's not my version of retirement. I can still work if I want to work, but I'm only going to choose the jobs that make me happy, and it certainly won't be for the money. It'll just be something to keep my mind active and focused on something productive.
Excellent. Well, that's extremely inspiring, and part of the reason I wanted to have a conversation with you today. So could you give us a little background on the job that you were describing that you did have, and not to knock your former employer or anything like that, but why did you just not feel inspired to make that the next 30 years of your life?
Yeah, I thought about this a lot, and I've come to the realization that even though it was easy to, dislike or hate the employer, I really don't have a problem with the companies itself. I mean, they were perfectly fine companies. I got paid well. They treated me fine. So I didn't really have a problem with the employer itself. It's just the business. It's the nature of the business, working for somebody else, all the things that encompass a job. It's not just the work that you're doing. It's the performance reviews you have to worry about. You have to answer to bosses. You have to really submit to, requirements and schedules that are pushed on you that you may not agree to, but you just have to do it because that's the nature of the game. Things have to be done as quickly as possible. And like I said, I enjoyed the work, but the other things around the work that just come naturally free of charge with any job you have, those are the things that I was really escaping from. So yeah, the companies themselves, they were all fine. I really don't have a problem with them. It's just the negatives that come from a job that I just had to escape. I just did not see myself doing that for the next 30 or 40 years.
You mean you weren't inspired by weekly time cards?
No, I really wasn't. No, I mean, it just came. I mean, it was such a routine. I didn't even think about it anymore. So I guess you can make the argument that, well, if you don't think about it, it shouldn't bother you. But I still had to do it. Sometimes I forgot. Then I got complained to from my managers to submit my time card, and I had to go in on a Saturday and do it. No, nice. That's not inspiring. It's my own fault for forgetting. I totally admit that. But that's just part and parcel of the kinds of things that I just had to escape from.
Awesome. Well, since you worked in the IT field and you retired early and you are not working at your job anymore, I picture this guy named Peter Gibbons from Office Space. You ever see that movie?
Oh, yes.
So tell me how you not decided. How did you go in and then tell your employer that you weren't going to do this anymore? This has got to be golden.
Actually, that's interesting. I gave my employer lots of time. So It was probably July-ish of last year. I didn't retire until December, mind you, but I told my employer in July after a stipulation came down that we had to get certified in this certain technology. It was like Security Plus training or something because our customers wanted to see that. So I called him up, and I didn't really want to go through the process of cramming for a test and passing multiple tests and getting certified for something that I'm not going to be doing or care about in the future anyway. So I called him and I pretty much said, hey, this is cool, but I really don't want to do this because I'm going to be retiring in 6 months. How about you just let me skate by here without having to do this security training? And to his credit, he understood my position and where I was coming from, and that actually worked out pretty well. He did not make me do that, and I got the cat out of the bag. Didn't have to do the Security Plus training. Let him know that I'm going to be gone at the end of December, and we're good to go. So there really wasn't any animosity. I didn't write some scathing "I quit" letter like I had drafted and posted on the website just for fun.
Right.
I don't like to burn my bridges. There's never anything positive that can come from burning your bridges. So I went out as best as I possibly could and happy and helpful and that kind of a thing. But yeah, that's really how it went down. It was his requirement that I get certified in something that I just didn't want to be certified in.
That's good. Well, so you went out like a gentleman. I had sort of this movie moment where you put the letter there and then you walk outside and you take the fax machine and you go and hit it with a baseball bat in the yard with your friends.
Totally.
So, no, it's all good. So, but,
well, yeah.
but when he said when you gave him this news, though, I'm sure that was a bit of a surprise to him for a young guy to retire in the mid-30s. Am I right?
Yeah. He has never heard that before. I mean, nobody has ever come to him and said, "Hey, I'm 34 at the time, and I'm going to be retiring in 6 months to pursue a life of travel." And he goes, "Man, that sounds really fun." And I mean, if I was in your shoes, I would probably do the same thing. But wow, that was pretty much his reaction to me.
Did he ask to come along? Take me with you.
Not directly, but as much as we would love to address that, the Airstream might not fit another person full-time comfortably.
Perfect. Well, so great segue. So you said I'm not sitting on my lawn and telling kids to go away. Where do you live right now?
We live in a KOA, a Campgrounds of America, because my wife is not officially retired yet. She will be at
Hmm.
the end of March. My
Okay.
boss pretty much begged her to stay on, but
Hmm.
she's going to be doing the exact same thing that I am. And then we're really going to set sail officially in April. But right now we are stationary. A KOA is like the resort of campgrounds. We have all the amenities here. We are paying a little bit more for a campsite, but what the hell? We're still making money, so I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
That's great. So where's that located?
Tucson, Arizona.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. So, yeah, excellent. So this life and this delivery of going into this early retirement sounds incredible and inspiring. Most people worry about amassing millions of dollars in their retirement accounts before they do this. Financially, I have to ask, how did you do it?
Well, we won't have $1 million by the time we retire, and the key is not necessarily how much money you have or how much money you make. The key is how much money you plan to spend every year after you call it quits. And the lower that money, or the lower that dollar figure is, the less you will need before you do need to retire, or can retire rather. I guess I should say. So our planned yearly expenditures after we retire is between 25 and 30,000 a year. So that keeps it pretty darn frugal.
Yeah.
And that has enabled us to call it quits as early as we are. My wife will be 31 this early, because we just don't plan to spend a lot of money. And we have side hustles that we'll be doing. We could always pursue odd jobs if we absolutely have to, but really, we don't plan on having to do that, but because our expenses are so low, we just don't need $1 million.
Right.
Now, if you're going to be spending like we did before we decided to pursue early retirement, like in the neighborhood of $100,000 a year or something, something along those lines, then yeah, you probably will need to amass $2, $3, $4 million before you can call it quits. But we've really come to realize that stuff and money doesn't make us happy. It's the freedom to pursue our own lives. That's what makes us happy.
That's exactly what I wanted to hear. That's great. So it's a combination of changing your mindset of, wow, actually, I don't need millions of dollars if I can change what my requirements are. And if we look internally enough, as you're saying, our requirements aren't really that much in order to be happy and live your life with your wife and travel the country. It sounds incredible. So,
Yeah, it's amazing how little we actually need to feel happy. I mean, I came from a house in the suburbs. My wife came from a house with a beautiful view, and now we live in a 200 square foot Airstream. And we are perfectly comfortable. It's just a change in your routine. It's a change in your patterns. But once you really dive into those changes, it just becomes old hat, and you get used to your surroundings. I've really come to realize we don't need the space. We don't need the big house. We don't need the big fireplace, the huge kitchen. Everything we have right now is perfectly fine for us.
that's incredible. So you mentioned some side hustles that you're going to continue to do that you don't. It doesn't feel like a job to you because you love it. So can you tell me a little bit about what that is? That work that you're going to continue to do?
Yeah, a couple things. Really, first and foremost is IT work, web development, database development, that kind of thing. But for causes and people that I believe in. So I'm getting involved more with J Money at Rockstar Finance. I don't know if you're familiar with that name, but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
you're okay. Good. So yeah, I'm pursuing some projects with him. Those are causes that I believe in. So I mean, I do love doing the work, and he obviously isn't some multinational corporation, so I really get so much more happiness giving my time to those kinds of causes. One of my other hobbies is photography and videography. Right now, I'm just doing that to pursue our YouTube page, but in the future, I have some, thoughts and desires of maybe offering videography services to campgrounds and other businesses around the nation who are looking for some videos to be produced and not pay $10,000 a pop.
Right.
So that might also be something that I will pursue in the future.
Excellent. So outside of the income that you'll generate through these side hustles and working at activities or hobbies that you like. Did you guys use any other investment vehicles to save up that you will be able to live off of? I know normally when I'm saving for retirement, it's a 401k, Roth
401k,
IRA.
yeah.
But is there anything that you invested in that you're going to be utilizing for your retirement before you're of government retirement age?
Yes, we did. We do have over 3 years of living expenses in an Ally savings account. That's a lot more cash than most people are comfortable with keeping. But we are perfectly okay with that, especially because the market's doing so well right now. It's bound to return to normal. I guess I'll say it that way. And once that happens, that cash reserve will certainly be really, really helpful. We'll probably also take advantage of the Roth conversion ladder going forward, so we can start withdrawing some of our money from our long-term retirement savings accounts early without taking the penalty.
Oh, could you tell us a little bit more about that? I haven't heard much about the Roth IRA conversion ladder. Is that an opportunity for people to take some out of their Roth IRA without all the penalties?
Yeah. As long as it was contributed at least 5 years ago, you can withdraw the money that you put in tax free, penalty free, and live all off of that without actually incurring a traditional penalty that you would if you were just taking money out before the 5 year mark or from a traditional 401k.
Wow.
So that's kind of, I mean, it's called the backdoor Roth IRA conversion ladder. So I think Curry Cracker and some other bloggers have talked about that in some detail.
Cool.
So we'll be utilizing that mechanism for sure.
Excellent. So everybody will want to know, what does retirement feel like? What do you do? What's your typical day look like, Steve, when you wake up in the morning?
It's funny because I'm actually writing an article about that right now. I still get up at 5 a.m. because my wife likes to go to work early, so it's just easier for me to get up. I do my best to work in the morning between 5:30 and about 11:30. That's really my core productive hours. So I get up, take the dogs out for their initial walk, come back in. I sit down. I really start to pursue my side hustles, and that's my IT work and things of that sort. I'll edit videos and whatever I think needs to be done from that end. I will start to do that early in the morning. Around 7, I'll go to the gym. So I'll take a break from computer work. I'll stay there for an hour and a half, come back and re-engage with whatever I was doing before. If I want to work on something different, I will. I mean, the freedom to choose my own schedule and what I work on and in what order, that's been truly awesome. I can't describe how nice that has been. I really get to pursue my life, pursue every day based on how I feel. And that's something that I never got to do before. I had a set schedule, set tasks, set projects, but now it's whatever I feel like working on, I will do. And I know, that after each week, the things that need to get done will get done. But now I have the freedom to decide, the order. I get to pick and choose what I do first, what I do second, so on. So I'm just as productive and everything gets done, but I get to choose exactly the order that things get done in. And that's pretty cool. And that includes naps, by the way.
There you go. Now you're talking.
Shortly after lunch, I will typically take a little 15 or 20 minute cat nap, and I feel completely rejuvenated thereafter.
That is exactly speaking my language. The nap, I think that's when I'll know that I'll have a retirement. If I can take a nap sometime in the middle of the day. Those Google Pods look really nice that they have there. I think they want to make everybody stay at work as long as possible. By providing them with every essential need that they might have.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so you guys have this Airstream. Are you planning any trips coming up, or is this you guys going to work on getting Courtney, your wife, retired first, and then making some adventures? How's that going to go?
We do small trips every now and then, but really for the most part, we're stationary until March. There may be a trip or two. Maybe we might try boondocking a couple more times. We just installed solar panels on the top of our Airstream last November. So we're looking forward to some opportunities to get out there, disconnect from power officially, and just live really 100% off the grid. We've tried that here in the KOA just by disconnecting from the power pedestal at the campground and to test that way. But we really don't have the feeling of not having that power pedestal, not having that fallback, that safety net. So we may do that a couple times, but in terms of big trips, we really don't have that planned until April 1st, and then we're off to the Northwest.
Oh, very cool. So you guys have some destinations in mind already?
Yes, we're going to do a little family vacation in Oregon during like the last week of June and into July. So we have that destination already planned, and between April and July, it's really fair game. We don't have every night planned. Trust me. My folks live in Utah now, so we'll spend some time in that area. Then we'll just kind of slowly make our way up. But in terms of how long we'll stay here and there, we don't necessarily know that. We just know where we have to be in June. But we really have ultimate flexibility to stay as long as we want wherever we happen to feel comfortable, I guess.
That sounds great, man. That's retirement to me. Flexibility and freedom. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah. So we touched on it a little bit, but I think in order to help people get an understanding of how they can get closer to a life like this of early retirement in your mid-30s, you have a website called Think, Save, Retire. And it breaks down into individual areas on how people can become educated and start to make a difference in their lives and push towards an early retirement. Can you tell us a little bit about what Think, Save, Retire means, I guess maybe in those individual areas?
Yeah, I mean, it really starts with, and this is the think aspect of this, it really starts with wanting it bad enough. I've never really dreamed of, I don't think many of us dream of working until we're 65 or 70 or whatever the average retirement age now is, and then retiring then. I mean, we all want freedom. We all want to retire early and pursue, well, most of us want to retire early and pursue our dreams outside of the office. But a lot of us don't want it bad enough. We have to keep up with the Joneses. The coworker just bought this car. The neighbor has this. We feel like we have to keep up, or we're not going to be seen as successful enough. Whatever it happens to be, if you want it bad enough, you will shed those predispositions, the focus on making society believe that you are successful because you have these possessions. Once I really started to realize that, first of all, society doesn't care about me. They don't care what car I drive. That really matters to me only. What matters to me is what my happiness, the collection of things in my life that makes me the happiest. And going to work and making money, just that doesn't factor into this equation. So really, once I decided that I wanted this bad enough, the cable TV got axed. No longer pay for that. Magazine subscriptions stopped. Expensive cars, I've had a dream of having a BMW 7 Series. That's nowhere in my plans anymore. I just don't need that stuff anymore, because once I started to downsize, minimize, get rid of the clutter, simplify my life, I realized that everything just became a little bit more simple for me, and I actually got happier with the less stuff I had to, store and maintain and that kind of a thing. So, thinking is really the first step, wanting it bad enough, and everything else flows from there. Excellent.
And then, so changing your mindset, your methodology with how you approach life and money is the first step, and then save is the next one. How do people get to be better savers or start to make a difference like you did?
Yeah, and I think these are connected. Once you want it bad enough, you want the goal of early retirement or financial independence or whatever it happens to be, you've decided on that goal. Okay, we have a goal. Now, how do we get there? So if you want that goal bad enough, the saving becomes easier. It's like, all right, so I want this goal. Maybe I don't need cable TV. Maybe I don't need to buy this expensive car, or maybe I could downsize from my 4,000 square foot house with a family of 3 or 4 into, a 1,500 to 2,000 square foot house, whatever it happens to be, or in an area of town that with a lower cost of living. Maybe I could do these things to help me get to that goal a little bit faster. And probably the easiest thing that people can do if their companies offer a 401k, especially if they match a certain percentage of that employee's salary into their 401k, at least contribute that much. My wife and I always maxed out our 401ks, in fact. So, I mean, that's automatic. You don't see it. It just happens, and your savings slowly builds and builds and builds. And that's really the important concept in saving. Make it automatic. Automate as much saving as you possibly can, because that removes the temptation to spend. So if you don't even see the money coming out of your paycheck, it just automatically happens from the bank, gets transferred into your savings account, gets transferred into your 401k, your Roth, whatever it happens to be. You don't have to deal with it. You don't have to think about it. It just happens, and saving becomes ultimately automatic. All you have to do really is work long enough where your savings amasses to where you want it to be at the time, and then things become so much easier from that standpoint. So really, don't make it easy on yourself to spend money. Make it as automated as possible, and you will reach your goals probably before you even wanted to.
Excellent. Well, and then the third step obviously is just what you're doing now. It's you're retired, and then being able to do the work that you want to do instead of being forced to do it. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. And retirement, you have to decide when the time is right, based on what your goal is and based on how much you've saved, as well as how much you intend to spend after retirement. A lot of people get into the just one more year scenario where they're pretty comfortable right now with how much money they have, and they think they're going to spend about this much after retirement. But what if this happens? What if a recession comes? What if this? What if that? And they keep pushing retirement out another 6 months, another year, another 18 months, whatever. So that's pretty tough for a lot of people to get their head around. For me, I was the complete opposite. I wanted to retire a year ago because I knew that our flexibility, both my wife and I, are flexible enough where if things started to get a little bit tight, then we might spend less money. We might find odd jobs here or there. So we were a little bit more risk tolerant, I guess, with moving our retirement date up. But some people aren't like that. So really choosing your target retirement date, that is a lot more difficult than a lot of people probably realize.
Excellent. So this is these 3 steps: think, save, retire. These are all referenced on your website, and your website is again thinksaveretire.com. Is that correct?
Yes, okay, that's correct.
Excellent. So yeah, if people want to learn a little bit more about how Steve and Courtney went about their lives here with this methodology, Think, Save, Retire, please do go to that website, thinksaveretire.com. So, Steve, we're just wrapping up a little bit, but I want to ask you one question. So let's go back to Peter Gibbons from Office Space. You got this guy.
Okay.
Let's picture him. And he's a mid-level IT guy, and he's making his way up the ladder, and he's got an opportunity to be promoted, but he's going to become very consumed with this job, and he's just not excited about it. What can Peter do besides smash a fax machine with a baseball bat to retire early like you and escape cubicle hell?
He has to decide. Peter has to decide what he wants more. Does he want to retire early, or does he want the high-paying, more stressful job? It's really that simple, A or B. If he chooses A, he probably – I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that he cannot pursue those promotions, but he really has to have things in perspective and not get overwhelmed with the job aspect of it. If Peter gets stressed and he starts hating his life, because of these job promotions and the added responsibility, that's probably not going to bode well for his future. So you really have to pick a course, A or B. And if I mean, I certainly chose A, but I mean, there's nothing necessarily wrong with choosing B, but you really have to make that choice and go after it, and not second guess yourself.
Excellent. Well, thanks so much for being on the show today, Steve. I really appreciate it. We've got the website thinksaveretire.com in our show notes, which I'll have at the end of the show. And if people want to follow you and learn more about your journey, is that the best place to go, or are there other routes?
That is the best place to go. If you like videos, we have a YouTube channel. I have a Think Save Retire YouTube channel, which talks about some money and financial aspects of what we're doing. We also have another YouTube channel called A Streamin' Life, and that really focuses on our Airstream, what we're doing, our explorations, our hiking, our organization, those kinds of, small living exploration, those kinds of things that are that we love to do. So honestly, we maintain a Stream in Life's YouTube channel way more than Think Save Retires, because that's primarily blog based. A Stream in Life is primarily video based. So yeah. Those are the three ways to keep updated with what we're doing and really where we are around the country.
Excellent. Well, congratulations on this incredible, monumental feat that you did, man. This is very inspiring, and I'm sure it's going to inspire a lot of people listening to this. Thanks again for taking the time. Congratulations to you and Courtney on your new life, and best of luck to her in finishing up her job 9 to 5 before the spring comes around.
Well, thank you, Andy. It's been awesome being on this podcast with you. I appreciate the invite. Been tons of fun.
How inspiring. Steve and Courtney have some exciting years ahead of them for sure. Now, living at a KOA in an Airstream might not be everyone's ideal version of early retirement, but through my conversation with Steve, it definitely got me thinking about what we really need in life, or retirement for that matter. Steve mentioned that he used to think that owning a BMW 7 Series was his version of making it in this world. Then he quickly realized that owning a car like that wasn't important at all. In fact, his desire to get that luxury car probably factored into his long hours at a job he didn't even enjoy. If we let go of the stuff we don't really need in this world, early retirement can be a whole lot easier to attain. You may not be able to retire at 35 like Steve, or live on $30,000 per year, but I'd like to ask you to consider all of the expenses, all of the purchases, all of the items sitting around your house right now. Are you working at a job that you don't enjoy to buy things that you don't really need? If your answer is no, then great. Email me and tell me how you're doing it. Andy@marriagekidsandmoney.com. If your answer is yes, take a hard look at your monthly spending habits and see what you can do to increase your saving and investing like Steve. I know I'm going to do this. What changes can you make so you can max out your 401k contributions at work or your annual Roth IRA contributions? Changes like these and taking action today can make a huge impact on your chances for early retirement. If you missed some of the resources and links mentioned in the show, I've got you covered. Please go to the show notes at marriagekidsandmoney.com/session13 to get all those financial goodies. Are you enjoying the show? I would really appreciate if you could go to iTunes and leave me a review. The more ratings I have, the more likely people will listen. And the more people listen, the better everyone's lives will be. And then the world gets happier, and so on and so on. I would really appreciate it, everyone. Thanks a lot. In the spirit of growth and inspiration, I'm going to end the show with a quote today from Walt Disney. All our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Go get it, everyone. Carpe diem.